All right, everyone, welcome to Full Speed Impulse. Today we are installing our 26 mil Mikuni Carb on our pit bike because we put a 143 kit on it, and with our 22 mil carb, just was not running how we wanted to run. So we needed a jet way up. We didn't have the jets and all that, and we got to the point it's like, why would we get this 22 mil to even work? Because we're just leaving power on the table. Like, we should just bump up the carb, get her done, and then we can put that 22 mil on something else that might be an actual upgrade to the bike. All right, so here is our Klx110L 2017, and we did a 143 big bore kit on it with the cam on the stock head, and this here is a 22 mil carb that we used to run on this bike, and this here was our, obviously, our pro circuit full exhaust, and then we do have the old BBR rev box on this thing with a BBR U flow. So this bike does have some upgrades on it for sure. And with this 22 mil, it just seems like it's time to take it off and put on something with a little bit more performance. This carb here, they recommend us to have a 180 as far as in this 26 mil and a 22.5, which is actually the jets that come in it. But this is exactly, should be a perfect match for the setup that's in our bike. But we're gonna see what happens. All right, but first things first, let's see what type of goodies we got in here. All right, got more stickers for sure, and we got some little peanuts here. All right, here's our intake here, and then this is what we want right here. Got some jets, 3 sizes. Hopefully we don't need those. Hopefully we come ready to go. All right, another good carb here by Mikuni. Got the old plunger set up again, like I showed you guys in previous videos. Instead of having the choke and all that, restrict your airflow and all that. Nice plunger system, allows a clean setup here for air to go directly into this carb, and you just get the best flow. You can see how everything's cleaned up here and all that, instead of like your stock carbs and all that. Give you guys an example. If you could see inside this one here, you can see how you got a choke and how the ridges are and everything like that. So you can see not the greatest flow, and then you got this guy here, and she's just ready to eat. So this is actually your stock carb right here on your Klx110, and this right here is going to be your aftermarket one. Big difference in airflow. That is a big difference. So definitely ready to get this sucker on and let this thing eat. Looks like we got our air fuel mixture screw right here on the side, so that's pretty sweet. We got that special tool and all that. We might use it on other bikes still, so it's not a bad tool to own, but we won't be needing that sucker anymore. Big difference. That's a big hole. So, okay, I get it. So that's what we'll be using this boot for, because it'll actually make this carb work. Like your stock carbs come with a flange or whatever on the back side of mounting, but this one doesn't. So this actually will be on this rubber boot now. Okay. All right. Well, let's get installing this thing. We got to get our old carb off and see what happens. All right, we're not messing around today. We're going to get at this sucker. This was definitely a good carb to us, guys, but we are ready to upgrade. Actually, this might go on the KLX 140, or it might go on another 110 if we end up keeping that bike. So I just don't want to give this carb away. It's actually a pretty good carb, so yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, so we got our new parts here. Got some new gaskets. No instructions, but pretty sure it should be pretty simple. So you got a bunch of bolts in here with your good old Allen, which I hate using Allens, but here we are. What are we doing here? We only have one nut. Well, in our package, apparently we only have one nut, so that's fantastic. Great start there, TV. 0 instructions. So my first question would be, and we're gonna find out here real fast, why do I got so many screws? Reference here, what do we got going on? All right, so I'm gonna assume that these here are supposed to go down here. BBR U flow, you're gonna be getting removed here real soon. Keep bouncing in my way like that. Why does one look longer than the other? What kind of games are we playing here? Guys, the 0 instructions is ridiculous. So this piece here is pretty self-explanatory. We're just gonna put this thing on here right now, because these bolts work fine. Put this on. You have a little bit issue with the carb going on, spray something like light, like a WD-40. Well, actually WD-40 like on your finger and like rub it in there or something like that. Don't go really excessive. Make sure you back this guy off a little bit. Make sure when you're screwing it down, especially if you have your bike a little bit apart, make sure you put it in a good position to where you know you'll be able to get at it halfway decent if you're out on the trails or whatever and you need to pop your carb off. All right, everyone, so after like 20 failed attempts, not really, but definitely a few, we found out that the short stud looks like it's going to go on this side and the longer stud goes on that side. So closest to your spark plug will be where the short stud screws into. It took us, because we had extra bolts, like we didn't know what combination they were like wanting us to use, and we still don't apparently, because that's not gonna work. What the heck? We ended up backing the stud out a little bit just so we can get a little bit more threads on the top side and get that nut screwed on top. All right, so we actually found extra nut for this side. This feels pretty tight. My only concern is I hope that there's enough threads in here. There should be, because that was still a pretty long stud. It just, we had it screwed all the way down, so it's probably only screwed halfway down now. But that should be pretty good. Your other option would be, I was already committed, guys. I'm done with this thing already. But use your longer bolt on the outside here, and you'll just have to come back here and you will use the long stud on this side, and you're just gonna have to work at that nut. It's gonna rub on the intake. Yeah, kind of just pivot it right and just kind of work at it. Don't tighten this side down at all. Honestly, I wouldn't even put the bolt in yet. And just put your stud down here, get it to close the snug, and then work your bolt in on this side and you'll be good. But like I said, we're gonna roll with this, and then now we can finally think about getting this darn carb hooked up. Holy cow, this thing is humongous compared to what we got. Dude, this thing is no joke. So right here on this brass fitting, there's a clip. Let's see if we get at the needle nose, but we might have to go get a pick. Yep, we need a pick. All right, so that's disconnected. We managed to save that clip. So we're gonna put it right here in our seat so we do not lose it. All right, so we're gonna have to get a new cable anyways. I'm just doing this really to show you guys. I believe it will work this way, but regardless, how to compress your spring, just put a couple little zip ties on there. They will swivel kind of easily, so you gotta be a little delicate on it. Just that way, you can get this all together a lot easier when you slide this guy right here into that hole, and then you're going to pivot it over into the smaller section there, and then that plate right there kind of locks it in. And then all you have to do is cut your springs, and then it'll be engaged in there, and then you can screw it right in and be good to go. So we're gonna get at it. All right, so it actually worked pretty good, guys. And honestly, I've ran way more sketchier setups than this, but that brass piece I already got kind of tucked in here. But it's inside here, and it pushes up against that just right. And then as you can see, oops, we kind of just stuff this on top of this guy here. And it's pretty firm on there, and it's gonna keep all your debris and junk out of there, which is a good thing. And yeah, I mean, I'd rock that. You could even put like maybe just even a little zip tie, nothing crazy. Don't go pushing too hard on that or you might mess with your cable, but I mean, that's perfect. Overall, I mean, obviously it's doable. We were kind of in a rush tonight, to be honest. This isn't the best time to do a job when you're rushing. We wanted to get this video done. Telling you what, we are on the struggle bus right now, guys. This was supposed to be a how-to video, and it become more like a how come video because we don't know how come this thing ain't running. She ain't running right. So she's definitely cutting out the same spot she is with the other carb. So now I am really nervous, and we gotta double check our timing again. We had one thing as far as how the sprocket went onto that cam, and it is just, I need to double check it. I want to make sure it's right. All right, everyone, we skipped ahead a little bit. We are having a little bit of issues in our previous video. We had the cam gear here set at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock, which was actually causing all our issues. So it's kind of a bummer because I would have liked to seen the 22 mil run on this bike, and I bet you it would have ran like a champ. But either way, like I said, we didn't want to leave power on the table. So getting up to 26 here, and it runs really good on the stock jets here. Real good. Running crisp. Alright, so that's about it for today's video, guys. Like, again, just recapping everything. Just, you could run a stock carb on a big bore. Like, no one's saying you can't. Just tuning it's not going to be the greatest. And you're leaving power on the table. The whole point of doing big bores and putting these cams and all that is to get more power out of your bike. So it'd be kind of silly to suffocate it with the carb. So 26, no rejetting, anything like that. We just mess with the air fuel just a smudge, and a whole different bike for sure. You could tell in the tone and the throttle response, it's gonna be sweet. So I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you later.